Hello and welcome to my channel. I have another question today, and the question is, what is the significance of the command to flee to the mountains from Matthew chapter 24 verse 16, Mark chapter 13 verse 3, and Luke chapter 21 verse 21. Mark 13 records what is often referred to as Jesus' Olivet discourse, also recorded in Matthew 24 and Luke 21. At this time, Jesus and his disciples are on the Mount of Olives, or Mount Olivet, and the Lord addresses the disciples' questions about the future. Jesus warns his listeners that one day the people in Judea will need to flee to the mountains. Just before the Olivet discourse, as Jesus and his disciples were leaving the temple, the disciples were marveling about the architecture. Jesus remarked that the buildings that they were admiring would all be destroyed one day, and the disciples began asking when these things would take place and when all would be fulfilled. On Mount Olivet, Jesus explained that there would be wars and rumors of wars, but these would be merely birth pangs. Before the time of the end, the disciples would be persecuted and stand trial as a testimony, as the good news of Jesus needed to be proclaimed in all the nations. The Holy Spirit would give the disciples the words to say when they would face these situations, and eventually there would come difficult times when people would need to flee to the mountains. Prior to the fulfilling of the end of the age, a great division will occur. Many will fall away, false prophets will rise, lawlessness will increase, and the disciples would be hated because of Jesus. But the one who endures to the end will be delivered through those difficult days. Though those days are survivable, Jesus warns that there will come a time of greater severity when, in order to survive at all, one must flee to the mountains. When people see the abomination of desolation, then those in Judea must flee to the mountains. The mention of the abomination of desolation is a reference to Daniel chapter 9 verse 27. There, the angel Gabriel explains to Daniel that at the midpoint of a 7-year period, a person associated with abominations and who makes things desolate will do something awful in the temple. Mark chapter 13 verse 14 refers to that person standing where he ought not to be, that is, in the temple. When that takes place, Jesus says the situation will get so severe that the people of Judea, not just Jerusalem, must flee to the mountains to escape. They must do so hurriedly, apparently because of the suddenness of the calamity that will come. Jesus explains that at that time there would be tribulation and distress, unequaled from the beginning, when God created the world, until now, and never to be equaled again. The people who will see these events will need to flee to the mountains of Judea in order to survive. But Jesus reminds his listeners to take heed because he has told them these things in advance. It is common for prophecies to be given far in advance for the benefit of the people of that present day. Even though the events may not take place for many years, the knowledge of how things will unfold should encourage, challenge, and motivate the hearers of the prophecy. As we read the prophecy and know that one day things will be so severe that people will have to flee to the mountains, we should make the most of our time we are given and be thankful that we are not seeing such severity constantly in our time. Thank you for listening to this question, and I'll see you next time.